Well, moving on to the latest news from abroad, Boris Johnson will take office as Britain's new Prime Minister. Now, he will replace Theresa May, who's resigned from her position in June. To unpack all this and more and to discuss this story, I am now joined on the line by John Stremlau, international relations expert. A very good morning to you, John. Thank you very much for joining us here on the AIM edition of Newsfeed. Now, like starting any new job, we do understand that there are a few administrative tasks ahead of his tenure, as well as a streamline of challenges. I mean, what can we expect to happen from here on two?
Well, good morning, and I'm afraid I can't help you very much on knowing what comes next because everyone's crystal ball on British politics right now is very cloudy. South Africans are having a very serious debate about the role of the public protector, but Britain voted for leaving the European Union without much deliberation back 2 years ago, over that now, and Boris Johnson ran as a demagogue in appealing to essentially the voters who elected him prime minister, which are aging white, fearful of their loss of status, Conservative Party members. Only 92,000 voted for him. That was a resounding win within the party, but Britain is now a country of 56 million diverse people, and there are 46 million voters. So basically what Boris Johnson has is a mandate from 0.002% of the population at a time when in the next 3 months he's going to have to confront the fact that Britain is likely to crash out of the European Union. He's got a problem with the Iranians in the Straits of Hormuz that they seized a tanker. So how is he going to behave? He is a very erratic politician, and no one really knows.
They've also perhaps dubbed him as Britain's Trump. I mean, what does that relationship look like as well on the global frontier?
Well, that's also very interesting because while he is impulsive and lies and womanizes like Donald Trump, he's also much better educated. He's written and been in government for many years, 17 years in Parliament in different roles, and also mayor of London. But no one really knows what his core views are because he says what suits him at the moment. They're both rather egotistical narcissists. And Trump has said that he embraces Boris Johnson, but Boris Johnson has had real issues with Trump over Iran and over other matters. And so it's very difficult to know how that relationship is going forward. But if Britain crashes out of the European Union, where it's going to cause enormous damage economically to Britain, it doesn't have any place to go other than a special trade pact with the United States. And frankly, I'm not sure that's even possible, but that's the way they're talking right now. It is a crisis for Britain that is unlike anything since World War II, constitutionally and politically, and also economically now. And the knock-on effects to South Africa's economy could be quite serious because it's a major trading partner of South Africa.
I'm perhaps just looking at what the proceedings for today look like. Can you perhaps walk us through what we can expect from Theresa May as she hands in her resignation and Boris Johnson perhaps makes his appearance?
Boris Johnson has already given one speech, which wasn't very clarifying. He's got a lot of work to do in the next few days, and this Iran crisis is the most immediate, but the Brexit is the biggest. And he goes to Queen Elizabeth, who is in her 90s, and she's seen many prime ministers. One only wonders what she will be thinking as she formally accepts his willingness to serve as prime minister, which is a protocol which you go through. That happens today, and then the work begins later today and tomorrow. He's got to appoint a cabinet, and he's got to do other things. Theresa May never really told us what was on her mind, but she did work the negotiations with the the European Union very carefully and painfully and was totally unsuccessful, a complete failure. Boris Johnson, you don't know what's on his mind. He might surprise people, but if he held an election soon, which is one of the questions that he's going to have to confront right away because there is pressure to hold him accountable, his own caucus, his own parliamentary majority, which is only one vote more than the Labour Party, is very fractured. And he's got an insurrection from Scotland, which thinks Britain should have stayed in the Union, and from Northern Ireland, which also voted to remain, even though his partners are hardline Britons in Northern Ireland, the Nationalist Party, for Britain, the United Nationalist Party. So he's got an enormous amount of difficult issues confronting him, and we frankly don't know in the next 2 or 3 days what he's going to do about those. The procedures are fairly straightforward in terms of getting a cabinet assembled and the like, but this is unusual times. There's nothing like it that I can think of to compare it to.
Well, as the world awaits with bated breath, John, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, John Stremlau, international relations expert, chatting to us about the swearing in of the new British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. We'll continue to update you as that unfolds. It is time for a quick break. We'll be right back.